Hey guys, welcome to MG Modern's channel, and this is an unboxing video for my latest purchase, which is a Stuhrling Original Aquadiver 42mm GP 17134. And this watch is a homage to one of the hottest watches on the market right now, which is a Rolex GMT Master 2 Pepsi bezel, which means a red and blue GMT watch they sell. And this watch was a classic Rolex sports watch design. In 2018, they introduced a stainless steel version with what they call a Jubilee bracelet, and we'll go over that in a minute. But it's just been super popular, super tough to get from any dealer, and secondary market's blowing up. So you know, like a lot of us who either can't get a Rolex or who can't afford a Rolex, obviously, these Homage watches, in my opinion, are a great alternative. And to have that look and feel, not have a blatant branded replica watch, but just something that looks like it, made by another company, and can just give you that look of the most popular and expensive watches out there. So this is a watch I purchased on Groupon, which is kind of an odd choice for me. I usually have been looking at standard sites, Amazon, eBay, sometimes some of the foreign sites for certain watches like AliExpress, or there's a few other ones out there, or even GearBest, which also sells a lot of made in China watches. But this Stuhrling is an American company based in Brooklyn, I believe, and so purchased from them on Groupon. Got a great deal for $65, and here it is. So we open up the box, have instruction manual, 2-year warranty, and instruction for use. So we'll go over this stuff in a minute, but right now I just want to actually take the watch out. It's actually nicely packaged in this box, and some foam for protection. And here is our Stuhrling Aquadiver GMT Homage. And comes in a plastic bag. Take this out, and here it is. Looks like it has a little protective sticker on it. Let's see if we can get that off. Well, while I'm trying to get this off, I will just review a few more things. So basically this is, again, a GMT watch, which means it's a tool watch basically, like many popular watches these days. And the functionality of this watch is that you can tell multiple times, time in multiple time zones at once, which is popular function for travelers, people who are flying, where you can see what time it is in the time zone you're in right now, and also a home time or a time zone you're traveling to. So really popular right now. And again, this particular the watch this is based on, the Rolex GMT Master 2, is just super popular right now. So the Rolex reference number is 126710BLRO, which is the reference number for the new GMT red and blue bezel. And this watch is referred to as the Pepsi for obvious reasons. It has kind of the red and blue coloring of the Pepsi logo. And they also make a few other bezel color combinations. The blue and black is sometimes referred to as a Batman watch, and the black and red bezel is referred to as a Coke watch. Those are just the common nicknames for these watches. So this one is a Pepsi, and actually arguably the most popular of the GMT Rolex watches. So let's just take a look at the watch. Looks great. Bezel is actually, it almost looks very similar to the ceramic bezel of an actual Rolex, which is great. You can see the bezel is not actually painted, but there's actually some indentations in it where the numbers are kind of actually almost carved or molded into the bezel itself, which is really unexpected from the pictures I saw online, and really a nice feature that gives you a little bit more of that Rolex look and feel. The nice thing about this watch is there are a number of other homages to the Rolex Pepsi GMT out there. One common one you see is from a company named Steinhardt, which is, I believe, coming from overseas and a little bit difficult to get in America, but you see the pictures of that online. It's a common Homage alternative. That watch is about $400 to $500. There's also a Parnas version, which is a very popular Homage watchmaker. A lot of people turn to if they're looking for the look and feel of another watch. Parnas version usually ranges 100 to 120 or so. Sometimes you can find a little bit less, 80. This watch I purchased on Groupon for $65, which is an amazing deal. The Groupon price is actually $75, but for some reason for a week or so they're running an extra $10 off promo, and I got it right under the deadline, and took advantage of it while I could. The only difference is that this is actually a quartz watch, so it's not an automatic or mechanical watch. You are going to need to change the battery eventually, but just for the outstanding look comparison to an actual Rolex GMT Master 2, I mean, from the options that I've seen, this one really can't be beat. And in person, looking at it, it's really spot on. So one reason so the GMT Master is a watch Rolex has made for quite a while now. Had a few different variations. The font and the bezel has been different. The older Rolex watches have a steel bezel. The newer ones have a ceramic bezel. And so you might see some older ones that have a different look around the bezel. The older watches too, lots of times, one reason these watches are popular is sometimes the colors fade on them a little bit. And sometimes that's actually a desirable look, where the dial and especially the bezel will kind of fade after being out in the sun for a number of years and take on totally different color contrasts. You'll see pink and light blue or almost purpley looking. It really depends on the individual watch, and it gives the individual character to the watch that's very desirable and actually makes the watch more valuable to be more faded. Newer watches are ceramic bezels, which kind of keep their color even out in the sun. So, which is one reason Rolex has turned to them. But in any case, the collectible facet of this particular model has just increased, especially for those older vintage ones. In more recent watches, variations of this from Rolex, they have typically had a classic Rolex Oyster bracelet. Now this watch has what Rolex refer to as a Jubilee bracelet with these kind of checkerboard patterns in the middle of the watch, which is actually really beautiful in person. And in 2018, they introduced a stainless steel version of this watch with the Jubilee bracelet, and again, it's just tough to keep on shelves or in authorized dealers and almost impossible to get. So even a lot of the Homage watches out there have the Oyster bracelet, not the Jubilee bracelet. So to me, this really is about as close as you can get at a low price point of getting what a brand new Rolex GMT Pepsi would look like if you tried to buy one or were able to buy one today. This watch with the bracelet, the dial, the bezel, really is a close match. So the Rolex GMT right now, Pepsi, retails for $9,250. You're not going to be able to get it for that price, even if you found it in the store. Lots of times, if a authorized dealer has one in stock, they'll save it for a long-time customer, someone spent a lot of money there, and just for someone walking down the street, it's almost impossible to get. So you'll often pay almost double the price. So you could almost pay $20,000 for this watch, if not more, brand new. if you can get through a secondary market. So again, this is $65, great deal. And let's take a look at the watch. It is very close in look and feel to an actual GMT. The only difference, well, obviously the fact that it's a quartz watch, not mechanical, and also the fact that it is not a Rolex, notwithstanding. The biggest difference is the case size, which in this watch is 42 millimeters. A actual Rolex GMT is a new one right now. It is 40 millimeters. So this is a little larger, but I actually like wearing larger watches right now on my wrist, so this is perfect for me. We can look at the dial of the watch. It's a black, slight sunburst effect. I don't know if you can see that here, but it, to me, looks really good. And again, I might say it's in a lot of videos, but one thing that's really important to me in looking for a Homage watch is the placement of the text and the number of the lines of text. So in this case, if you bought a GMT, it would say Rolex, I believe. Actually, to be honest, I can't recall right now, but I know there's another line of text underneath, maybe Oyster Perpetual or something to that effect at the top, and then kind of like 3 lines at the bottom. So it's a GMT Master and Superlative Chronometer, and another line of text after. Now this one, just the placement of the text, the size of the text on the top and bottom of the dial really make a difference, at least to my eye, to how close a watch looks to the real thing. So placement of the text I love here, the size of the text I love. I love that if you see the word GMT, or the initials GMT on the bottom are in red, which is really reminiscent of what a lot of other Rolex watches have in some older models, where you'll see kind of a red line of text, the name of the watch with some white text underneath. Sometimes, like with a Submariner, for example, it'll say like red Submariner and red text. If you see a watch like that, sometimes it's referred to as a red sub. So this almost, even though a GMT doesn't have red text, it's still kind of reminiscent of that Rolex red text look, where it's desirable to a lot of people. It does have a date function with a Cyclops. That's that 2.5 times magnifier that many Rolex watches have. You can see the size of the date and the size through the Cyclops. I mean, that's a pretty good magnification. The text is not exactly the same as an actual GMT Master. It's not too similar, but to me that's not a big deal, because the font around the bezel looks so great. So we can see if you compare this watch to an actual GMT Master, there's just a lot of similarities. The classic Mercedes hour hand, the sword minute hand, the dial markings and indices are almost exactly the same as the GMT Master. So this is really a great match. Crown guards on both sides, and this has what's referred to as a screw down crown. And actually there's a little protector here, but you can see that just like an actual GMT Master, this does have a screw down crown where you can actually unscrew the crown to set the time and push it back in to have a water resistant. This watch is water resistant, 330 feet, 100 meters, which is actually pretty good for an Homage watch. And just the look and feel of this is really similar. So this red hand here is what is referred to as the GMT hand. So basically what you can do is set this, turn the bezel to how many hours your current time zone is from the time zone, the alternate time zone you want to keep track of. So say we're in the Eastern time zone and we want to, where it is 12 o'clock, and we want to keep track of Pacific time, which is 3 hours earlier, we can turn this bezel to have actually 21 at the top. which is the 3-hour offset between Eastern time and Pacific time. And we can also set this GMT hand to keep track of the hour it is in the other time zone. So I'll explain that a little bit more, and sorry, I know that was a little confusing to explain, but I can explain that more in the full review to come. But again, this is the unboxing video, so we're just taking a quick look. But basically, the GMT hand looks almost exactly like a actual GMT watch, where it's the red hand with the arrow at the end. Size of the watch looks great. There is a little Stuhrling S logo on the crown itself, which is great, kind of reminiscent of the actual Rolex logo, Rolex crown on their crowns. The bezel is bi-directional. You can turn it either way. The color demarcations is kind of to indicate day and night. So kind of, you know, from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. is kind of nighttime, so it's a little darker. And then from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. is daytime, so that's the red color. So that's just a visual indicator of day and night. And basically, you know, if we had the bezel set here, we could see that it is 10:10 in our time zone. And GMT hand for the time zone we're keeping track of right now is 22, which is a 2-hour offset. So you kind of say 10:10 in our time zone, but it's actually actually, you know what? I think I got that wrong. But again, we'll go over the GMT function in the video to come, so I wouldn't sweat that too much right now. But just a quick look at the watch. Jubilee bracelet looks beautiful. Has a coinage bezel. These ribs on the side, just like the actual GMT Master. And the bezel looks nicely constructed. There's no click to it, but it is a little stiff turning the bezel, but in a way that's a nice thing sometimes with some of these watches, especially on the Homage side, lower price point, because you know, the bezel will really stay in place once you turn it. Some of the other ones I've seen at a cheaper price point, you know, will kind of have a lot of what they call play to it, where they kind of sway back and forth. But this, even though it's a little more difficult to turn, doesn't click, but it just feels solid, feels like it'll stay in place. Case is a good size, and we'll see what it looks like on the wrist. Obviously I'll have to adjust the straps later, but to me that looks beautiful. The colors, the size of the case, you know, so far very happy with this. So, and a couple of positives about this watch. One is that, again, Stuhrling is a company based in the US, and the items are shipped from the US. So a lot of Homage watches get shipped from all over the world and take 4 weeks to get to your home. If you're living in the USA, like I am, in suburban Philly, this watch took about 4 days to come from Groupon. I'm sure if you bought it on Overstock, where it's about $100, or sometimes on Amazon, sometimes not, this exact model. But, you know, if wherever you're buying it from, if you're in the USA, you're going to get it really quick, a lot quicker than a lot of the other foreign-made Homage watches, which is great. And also, you know, being a little bit more reputable company, a little bit more successful company, you know, we have some perks like this 2-year warranty that Stuhrling offers. So in case anything does go wrong with the watch, it's not like shipping it to China or cost prohibitive to ship back to some unknown manufacturer who you're probably not going to see that money again, or would be very unlikely and take a lot of time. So in fact, this is actually like a pretty solid company, makes a lot of watches in the US, sells in a variety of places. I believe their company's based in Brooklyn. You know, we're going to get the watch soon and have any customer service be a lot better to keep track of, to keep on top of. So, so far I love this watch. It looks beautiful. I can't wait to get the time set straight. And again, apologies for a little bit of confusion about explaining the GMT function, but I'm a little new to this, and hopefully you'll have some patience with me. But in our full review, we'll go over the functionality there properly. So we'll set the time, get the links correct, get on the wrist, and super excited to try this on. and start using it. So thanks again for watching. And again, this is MG Modern Watches, and have a good day.